Hey, welcome back. February is now over, and with it, my self-invented, self-inflicted 1-month drawing challenge. I coined the term Face Off February for a 28-day face drawing challenge. Prior to this, I had never really drawn people. I had never attempted to draw faces or human heads, and I wanted to see just how much I could improve in 1 month. Why don't we cue up some smooth lo-fi jazz background music, switch the camera over here, and we'll talk about what I did every day and what I learned along the way. Face Off February 2025. This was my day 0 heading into the challenge. I followed a YouTube video by Sam Does Art, how to draw a person. And this is how it turned out. Not amazing, not horrible, but a baseline. And luckily it only went up from here. For the very first day, I just wanted to get comfortable with the shape of the human head, trying to focus on the cranium and the skull. Day 2, I basically continued that, but I was adding details. Out of all of these, I really liked this one, and I was quite happy with this one. Both of those two gave me quite a bit of confidence knowing that by the end of this month, I should be able to do something semi-decent. On the 3rd, I followed another tutorial by Sam Does Art, how to draw faces, beginner friendly. I will leave links to all of the videos and guides I followed in the description channel. And I tried to just basically redraw his video tutorial. I knew that there was measurements you could do on the human face, but I didn't actually really know what they were. Cranium, the center line, the eyebrow line. I knew there was a rule of thirds, but I didn't know what it was before this. So learning where to split the head up was pretty good. By the time I got to the end of it, honestly, number 8, that's not half bad. So the 4th, I only did this one. That was the goal, one face every day. And so for the 4th, I did this one, basically trying to apply what I learned in Sam's video while comparing it to references. I hated this one at the beginning on the 5th, but by the end of the other couple I did, I was quite happy with it. Don't mind the stickers, my 2-year-old got a hold of my sketchbook. Stickers are much better than what it could have been. On the 6th, again, basically the same. I was practicing different angles, trying to draw the reference lines and figuring out where they go. Wasn't super happy with either of these ones, but I loved this and this. Both of those ones I was really happy with. The 7th was my brother's birthday, and it was my first attempt at a full page face using a reference to see how I could do. And honestly, it's not too bad. My wife immediately recognized it as Jason. So yeah, that's the 7th. I drew a picture of him, that was it. That's the only art I did that day. The 8th, I did 2 more, and the 9th, 5 more. I was starting to get confident with these, definitely feeling better about them. I came back afterwards and tried to erase some of the references and tried to do a little bit heavier line work to see how they would turn out. I remember at the end of the 9th feeling so discouraged because they were all awful, I thought. Purposely not just picking side profiles and straight on angles. I'm trying to find difficult emotions, different angles, different viewpoints, different head shapes, different ethnicities, male, female, trying to switch it up. The 10th here, some good, some not so good. The hair was fun. The shape of the face, the angle, the half hidden behind the hair I liked. This one I wasn't overly fond of. This one looked like Jim Carrey in The Mask, or like a bank robber, so not very happy with either of those. And then on February 11th, I decided to actually look up what the Loomis method was. And this is kind of when things started making sense. I was following the other guides that I had, but I didn't fully understand why yet. So the Loomis method definitely started to fill in some of the blanks. And then on the 12th, again, I continued. I found a different Loomis guide by Robert Marzullo for how to draw heads, dividing it into thirds. He has a guide that I didn't buy, but 2 of the chapters were free, and I watched both of those and I followed those, and that was awesome. Learning about the Loomis method with the sphere and cutting off the sides of the head. The ear goes into the bottom back quadrant, the middle line for the eyebrows, top line for the hairline, the bottom line for the bottom of the nose, and then extending the face past the sphere for the bottom of the chin. He gave some really good references, which basically I used as guides, but tried to redraw it myself while thinking about it, and those are very helpful. And then my 4-year-old gave me a lovely guide, how she draws people. So I just taped that in there, because how can you not? And yes, that is their belly button. A cherished memory. The 13th, I watched another Loomis video. This one was draw like a sir, how to draw heads with the Loomis method. I found this useful because the other videos I saw didn't explicitly explain that the circle on the side of the cranium sphere is supposed to be 2/3 the size, approximately, of the main head circle. And that was quite useful because before I was just making it up and assuming an approximation, but it kind of explains why and how, so that was good. On the 14th, this was my first actual attempt at applying the Loomis method using a reference. Not perfectly happy with it, but certainly a big improvement. I mean, already we're 2 weeks in. This, without really knowing what I'm doing, to this is huge. And this is kind of when things started to take off for me. This is when I start applying the Loomis method to photo references. I'm honestly at this point just using Google Images or Getty Images. I've heard mixed things about Pinterest. I know tons of artists use Pinterest, but it's apparently been heavily inundated with AI recently, and I'm just haven't got to actually checking it out yet. These two I liked on the 15th, but I hadn't actually started adding pupils or irises yet, and I just came back afterwards and jokingly highlighted the eyes and commented on how they feel. Quite zombie-like. 16th again, same thing. Loomis method. I'm finding a good way to not hate my art. I don't know if you're the same as me, but when this is honestly the farthest I've ever gotten into a sketchbook. I always rip them up, I always throw them out, I always buy new ones and never finish them. And typically when I have a drawing or a sketch I don't like, I want to cut the page out, or I want to crumple it up, or I want to throw the entire sketchbook out and start fresh. I want that like Instagram influencer level perfect sketchbook where every page is a finished beautiful watercolor drawing. And I mean, the reality is I'm not there yet. Maybe one day I will be. Maybe that's the thing that people do, or maybe it's just a farce. Regardless, going back to my sketches and commenting on them, grading them, highlighting them so that I can still learn is very helpful. So I started with liking this one, but I wasn't crazy on it. But when I still went back and kind of reviewed where I put the circles, why I put them where I did, how it worked out, that's still helpful. Like the zombie eyes, like this one. Coming back and reviewing the WTF is going on with this poor girl's forehead. It's funny. This one too, wasn't crazy about, but these ones I didn't actually mind. I have seen videos talking about why you don't want to draw each individual strand of hair and that you kind of want to block it in with shapes. And this I just kind of naturally came to the conclusion around here where it was definitely seemed like the obvious thing to do. But I mean, I've been doing that throughout most of them anyways. You can see like I'm not drawing each strand of hair, I'm kind of drawing clumps of hair or segments of hair. These ones you can see chunks, shapes that you will then eventually turn into hair. On the 19th, I did these three. This one I was pretty happy with. Not so much anymore, but at the time I definitely was. These ones looked, I don't know, I did them too fast. The face proportions are wrong, the jaws are huge. And then it's crazy that you do on one day. And then literally the next day I did both of these. And at the time I was like, I might have a chance of becoming an actual artist. These are great. I mean, these are webcomic level. These are really good. If you could accurately redo these and add some color, these would be great in a comic. And then on the 21st, again, what felt like a step backwards. I started trying to purposely find faces that were not just neutral, not smiling. So this girl's looking up into the sun with like this peaceful serenity look on her face. This guy was exhaling. He had like a... His lips were kind of puckered as he blew all the air out. His cheeks were poofed up. I was purposely throwing myself to the wolves, trying to do different emotions. This woman's yelling or screaming about something. Kind of gave up halfway through it, didn't even bother with her hair. Wasn't very happy with the eye positioning, the cheekbones coming in here. But I think what I'm learning is to stop erasing and to stop starting over, to stop scratching it out. It's okay to create bad art in the pursuit of creating good art. Like Jake says,
dude, sucking at something is the first step towards being sort of good at something.
Again, starting to get better and better and better here. On the 22nd, I did these four. I was pretty happy with this one. I tried to actually kind of block in where some of the shadows would go. I meant to come back and shade it in, but I never did. I like this one, but it looks robotic. Doesn't necessarily look human. Okay, it looks human, but not not personable. Definitely a little bit cyborg. Again, just letting the practice be the practice and not having to have everything be a finished picture. I did this one and I was pretty happy with it. And then I did this one and I was actually quite happy with this one. This is the favorite one on the 23rd. This is the best piece I've made so far. I like the reference lines. I like the rough sketching appearance. I like the look in her eyes. I like that you can see there's thought behind the face. You can see that there's something going on in her brain. There's something in her eyes. There's something mysterious, something she's thinking about. Ever so slight indication of teeth there. The lips don't seem awful. The nose doesn't seem awful. That was a good boost. And then on the 24th, I started actually doing full page references using Loomis again. And I'm doing from the 24th to the 28th, I tried to do a full size, 10, 15, 20 minute reference layout. On the 24th, I was referencing this picture where the woman is squinting into the sunscreen. I believe she's getting sprayed with a bottle of sunscreen, and I wanted to choose something hard. I wanted to choose something different. It was also a bit of a shortcut because then I didn't have to try to draw eyes. I could just draw her with the eyes closed. But I ended up really liking it. All the squinting, the scrunching of the nose and the face. I was pretty happy with how that one turned out. The 25th, I was quite happy with the picture, except the eyes really threw me off, and it looks absolutely nothing like the reference. This was the reference. The angle's wrong. The eyes are looking way this way instead of up towards you like in the reference. But I've kind of plastered the eyes onto the contour of the face instead of setting them back into the face, I think. Definitely something to learn from that one. But again, it's a face and it's practice. 26th, I did this one. Overall, not unhappy with it. But again, I don't really think it resembles the reference. I like the cheekbones. I like the jaw. I like the smile lines coming in here to her face. Something more challenging, something a little bit different than what I've done in the past. Almost has a Natalie Dormer kind of cheekbone smile going on. I don't think that my picture looks like the reference, but it looks like a human face, so we'll take it as a win. And on the 27th, I did this one, and I thought that was pretty good. I think the beard might be a little bit too deep hanging off the chin here maybe. And I think if I could figure out how to add some texture to the hair and to the beard, it might make it a little bit better. It looks a little cartoony for what I would like as a final style, but the eyes were better. Adding color to the pupils and to the iris helped. Overall, I was quite happy with this one. And then we get on to the last day, day 28th. The end of the challenge. And I did these two. My wife and I watched The Gorge with Anya Joy-Taylor and Miles Teller. Sorry. We watched the first half of The Gorge. My kids woke up, so we hadn't finished it. And I was inspired to try to draw them. Awesome movie for what I've seen so far, which again, we haven't gone back and finished it. So the first half of the movie was great. I don't really like the drawing. The hair turned out okay. The nose is okay, but something about her makes her look like she's from the Planet of the Apes. And then side by side, 2 hours apart, later that evening, I did this. And I mean, this is by far, hands down, the best picture I have done in the entire month. I don't know if it resembles him. I don't know if you would know for certain that that's who it is, but it's a pretty damn good sketch. I did take more time with this one. I did go back and erase most of my reference lines. I did try to take the time to add the facial hair and the stubble. I did make a bigger effort on the hair, and I think it shows. This is super good. I am super, super proud of this one. And this is giving me the confidence to carry on with this. I'm not gonna do a face every day, but I'm certainly not gonna stop trying to draw people because I wanna add watercolor to this. I wanna take this to the next step and see how this looks. I mean, day 28, day 0. This doesn't even compare. You wouldn't even think this is the same art. This can't be the same artist 1 month apart. That's insane. So wicked, awesome, great. I'm realizing that his nose here looks like it should be a little bit wider like the other side, and it definitely curves up a little bit, and I don't think it should. It should be more like this. But still, it is pretty good. So that's it. Face Off February was a huge success. From my entrance pre-challenge drawing to where I'm at day 28, I am really happy with the progress I have made. The takeaway advice I have at this point for anyone looking to get into drawing faces is pretty basic. Watch a couple tutorials and try. Give yourself some grace. Be gentle with yourself. You're learning, as am I. For me, it was the Loomis method. The Loomis method feels like the math applied to the art. It gives me the measurements, it gives me the tools, it tells me where to put the eyes. It doesn't tell you how to draw eyes, but it tells you where the eyes go, where the eyebrows go, where the mouth goes, where the ears go, and why they go in these different places. And that I found very helpful. The Loomis method is the science behind the art, and it's your job to apply it creatively and artistically. And then the next piece of advice is use photo references. Photo references that you can take your pencil up against your monitor or against your tablet or against a magazine and actually give yourself a rough measurement of where the chin and the nose and the eyebrows and the hairline and how big are the ears and how thick is the neck is very helpful, for me at least. And then obviously, the one thing I'm going to say that you already know, if you want to get better at something, you have to do that thing. If you want to be better at push-ups, you have to do push-ups. If you want to be better at cooking in the kitchen, you have to get into the kitchen and you have to cook. If you want to be better at drawing human faces, you have to draw human faces. Don't get discouraged when the art you make looks because sometimes it will. Over the month, my goal was to do 28 faces. If you count all the really quick, rough looking ones, I did just shy of 90 faces in the month. If you don't count those and you want just the ones that were actual like people, well, I did about 50. 50 faces, I'm already here. I can't wait to see where my art is going to be after I draw 500 more faces. If you'd like to be a part of that journey, please consider subscribing to my channel. Liking the video, that's all I got today. Thanks so much for sticking around to this point, and I hope you have a fantastic day. I'm gonna finish this cup of tea and make some art. You guys take care. I'll see you in the next one.